You know, we've all seen it happen. Older relatives start to get frail, and we just kind of shrug and say, well, they're just getting old. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something much more specific. It's a condition called sarcopenia. And believe me, it's not just about losing a little muscle. It's a way more complicated story about losing strength, and it starts decades before we ever see the first sign.
Just think about that for a second. Picture your next family dinner. This quote, man, it gets right to the heart of the problem. Sarcopenia is this silent epidemic, and it's hiding in plain sight. Someone can look totally fine. They can be a normal weight, but inside, they're losing the one thing that truly keeps them independent and resilient, and that's their strength.
And that right there, that's the central mystery we're going to solve in this explainer. If it's not just about muscle shrinking, then what is actually going on here? Why does it seem like functional strength just vanishes, leaving people so vulnerable to falls and fractures? Well, let's dig in and investigate.
Okay, so to really understand what's happening, we first have to fix a huge misunderstanding about what sarcopenia even is. For decades, we were basically looking at the wrong culprit.
So back in 1989, a researcher named Dr. Erwin Rosenberg came up with the term sarcopenia. It literally means flesh poverty. Kind of dramatic, right? But it made sense at the time. The entire medical world was focused on just one thing, the loss of muscle mass as we get older. The whole idea was super simple. Smaller muscles mean you're weaker. Case closed. Or so we thought.
The thing is, this old definition just wasn't adding up in the real world. Doctors kept seeing this really frustrating paradox. They'd have patients with scans showing plenty of muscle, but these same people couldn't get out of a chair without help. They were still falling. The diagnosis just wasn't matching up with reality, which meant our whole understanding of this was, well, flawed.
And that paradox? It forced a massive shift in thinking. It moved the focus away from how big a muscle is to what that muscle can actually do.
And this slide, it just lays it out perfectly. We went from this old, outdated obsession with muscle size to a new, modern understanding that's all about muscle strength. The new guidelines basically say, look, it's the function, the ability to produce force, to generate power. That's what really matters for your health, for your independence, for your survival. Size is secondary.
And this data shows you exactly why that shift was so critical. After you hit 50, your muscle mass goes down by about 1% a year. Okay, but look at strength. It drops by a staggering 3% a year. That's 3 times faster. It's clear proof that something else is going on here. Something way beyond just a little muscle shrinkage.
You know, the best analogy I've heard for this is the green banana idea. Think about it. A green banana and a ripe yellow one can be the exact same size, but their internal quality, their texture, their firmness is totally different. It's the same thing with muscle. An older muscle can look totally fine on an MRI, but it can be full of fat and just have really poor quality. So yeah, size isn't the whole story. Quality is everything.
So if it's not just about our muscles getting smaller, what is the real thief stealing our strength? Well, this is where the story takes a fascinating turn, right into our own nervous system.
And here it is, the real culprit. The loss of strength that defines sarcopenia is, first and foremost, a neurological event. It's not the muscle cells that are failing, it's the nerve cells that control them. The problem isn't the light bulb, it's the wiring.
So here's how this heist goes down. Our most powerful, fast-twitch muscle fibers, think of them as your body's high gear, are controlled by these special nerves called high-threshold motor neurons. As we age, and especially if we don't use them, these neurons just start to die off. Now, the abandoned muscle fiber gets rescued by a nearby slow-twitch neuron, but there's a catch. It gets converted into a slow-twitch fiber. The result? You selectively lose your power, your ability to react quickly, to catch yourself from a fall.
And get this, the scale of this loss is just shocking.
By the time you're 70, you could lose up to half of the motor neurons you had when you were 20. Half. This isn't some small, gradual change. It's a massive neurological downgrade that leads directly to weakness and frailty.
So if this is a neurological problem, is there anything we can do about it? Can we fight back? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. And our best weapon is strength itself.
All right, let's be clear. You can't bring a dead neuron back to life. But what you can do is send a really powerful use it or lose it signal from your muscles back to the motor neurons that are still hanging on. Challenging resistance training essentially screams at your nervous system, hey, this connection is absolutely vital. Keep it online.
And this is exactly why the kind of exercise you do matters so much. If you look at muscle biopsies, Even older endurance athletes, we're talking people who are really active, they still show a major loss of those powerful type 2 fibers. Walking is great for you, but it's not enough to send that survival signal. But strength athletes, they show muscle fiber patterns that look remarkably like a young person's. They are preserving their power.
Let that one sink in for a minute. This isn't just a treatment, it's a preventative firewall. By consistently lifting challenging weights, you're not just putting the brakes on the decline, you are actively stopping these crucial nerve cells from dying in the first place.
Okay, so all of this brings us to the most important part, right? The action plan. Knowing what we know now, how do we invest in our own long-term strength and independence?
Honestly, the best way to think about this is like a physical 401k. You spend your younger and middle years making consistent deposits, building up this huge reserve of strength and power and function. What you're doing is creating a buffer so that when the inevitable age-related withdrawals start to happen, you've got plenty in the bank to live a long, strong, independent life.
So what do those deposits look like? Well, the prescription is pretty clear. Resistance training, at least twice a week. That's non-negotiable. And listen, you can't just go through the motions. The sessions have to be challenging enough to signal those nerves to stick around. That means focusing on progressive overload, always trying to get just a little bit stronger over time. And of course, you pair this with your regular cardio for your overall health. And you gotta feel the machine, right? The goal is to get a higher protein intake, somewhere around 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight. See, as we get older, our body...
Today, we are going to tackle a challenge that, let's be honest, can creep up on any of us: conquering stairs. We're going to break down 3 incredibly simple, research-backed exercises that can help you move up and down them with the kind of confidence you had years ago.
So tell me, does the sight of a staircase make your heart sink just a little bit? You know, do you find yourself planning your day around avoiding them? Or maybe you feel kind of wobbly and out of breath by the time you reach the top. If any of that sounds familiar, you are so not alone. And the best part? There's a direct, simple fix. Okay, let's dive right in.
So why does this happen? Why do stairs get so much harder? It is not just you, and it's definitely not some random part of getting older. There's a very specific biological process at work here that turns what used to be a simple task into a major hurdle.
But here is the most powerful takeaway I want you to get from this. This is not a one-way street. Not at all. The science is absolutely clear that we can fight back and even reverse this process. The key is an approach called progressive strength training. And look, this isn't about becoming a bodybuilder. It's about reclaiming the functional strength you need for everyday life.
I love this analogy because it is just perfect. Imagine your muscles are like a bicycle that's been sitting in the garage for a few seasons. You know, the chain is rusty, the tires are a little flat. Well, progressive strength training, that's the tune-up. It's the oil for that chain and the air for those tires, and it gets everything running smoothly and powerfully again.
All right, so now that we get the why, let's get right into the how. Here are the only 3 exercises you need. This is your practical action plan to start rebuilding that strength, and you can literally start today.
Okay, our first exercise is the slow sit-stand. This move is an absolute powerhouse. Why? Because it targets the 2 biggest and most important muscles for climbing a step: your quadriceps, right at the front of your thighs, and your glutes. Here's exactly how you're going to do it. First, sit on the front edge of a sturdy, stable chair. Now, slide your feet back so they're just slightly behind your knees. This is your launch position. From there, push through your heels and stand straight up. And hey, if you need a little boost at first, it is perfectly fine to use the armrests. Now for the most important part. Slowly, with absolute control, lower yourself back down into the chair.
Now this is where the magic happens, right here in the details. You want to power up with some energy, but come down slowly, fighting gravity the whole way. That slow, controlled lowering is what tells your muscles to grow stronger. Try to aim for 10 reps, maybe a couple of times a day. And just watch out for that common mistake of rocking forward. That's just momentum doing the work, and it's cheating your muscles out of the benefit.
Let's move on to our second exercise. We've worked the big muscles on the front and back of the legs, right? Now we need to stabilize things from the side. The lateral step up targets a super important hip muscle called the gluteus medius. Think of it like a rudder on a boat. It keeps your pelvis level and stable with every single step you take. For this one, you just need a small, sturdy step. About 4 inches high is perfect to start. You know what works great? The bottom step of your staircase. Just stand beside it and plant one foot firmly right in the center. Now push straight up through that leg, bringing your other foot up to just tap the step. Then, control the movement as you step back down sideways. For this one, you just need a small, sturdy step. About 4 inches high is perfect to start. You know what works great? The bottom step of your staircase. Just stand beside it and plant one foot firmly right in the center. Now, push straight up through that leg, bringing your other foot up to just tap the step. Then, control the movement as you step back down sideways.
Now, safety first always, so go ahead and use a wall or a handrail for balance. Your goal is to work your way up to about 10 to 20 reps on each leg. The big thing to focus on here is keeping your torso upright. Really try not to lean sideways to hoist yourself up. And hey, once you can comfortably nail 20 reps, you've earned the right to progress to a slightly higher step to keep that challenge going.
And now for our final move, exercise number 3. This one comes directly from a groundbreaking 2022 study, and it's specifically designed to master the art of going down the stairs, which for a lot of people feels even more unstable and painful than going up. Here's how it works. Stand on your bottom step, facing down as if you're about to walk right off. Make sure you hold a handrail for support. Now, with full control, slowly lower one foot until it just taps the floor. Then, just as gradually, reverse that movement, pulling that foot all the way back up to the step. Then, you switch legs.
So what's the science here? Well, this movement is called eccentric strengthening. All that means is your muscle is building strength while it's lengthening, which is one of the fastest ways to build useful muscle. In fact, that study found that adding a small weight, like holding a 10-pound dumbbell, basically turbocharges the results. Just be really sure to keep your knee tracking straight over your foot. Don't let it cave inwards.
Okay, so now you have the exercises, but I've got one last thing to share with you. A simple biomechanical trick that can make climbing stairs feel dramatically easier and safer, almost instantly. Seriously, think of it as your secret weapon. Just look at this comparison, because it explains everything. Most of us, we make the mistake on the left. We try to stay bolt upright and then we pull with the railing. When you do that, your center of gravity is behind your front foot, which means you're fighting gravity with every single step. Now try the method on the right. As you step up, simply lean forward from your hips. This tiny little shift gets your body weight over your front foot, so you're actually using your body's momentum to help propel you up. It's way easier, much safer, and just biomechanically smarter.
So there you have it. A complete, straightforward plan to turn stairs from an obstacle back into just another part of your house. Let's quickly recap the powerful toolkit you now have at your disposal.
Your toolkit is simple, but it is incredibly effective. You've got the slow sit stands for that raw power going up. You've got the lateral step-ups for rock-solid stability. You've got the step-downs for confident control on the way down. And you can top it all off with your secret weapon, leaning forward for maximum efficiency. It's a complete system for success.
And that brings us to the final and really the most important part. Knowledge is one thing, but action is everything. So the real question isn't just about what you've learned today, but what you're going to do with it. So what is the first small step you will take today to start reclaiming your strength and confidence on the stairs?